What's up, guys? Today we're out here at the AEP Recreation Grounds in Southeast Ohio with my good buddy Saul Curtis of Ohio's finest outdoors, also known, everybody calls him Bass Curtis. Today we're going to showcase his chase for giant bass out here a little bit and talk about what he does and what his passion is for these fish. He truly believes there's a state record largemouth out here. There's over 60,000 acres, a lot of history with this place. It used to be the old Central Ohio coal grounds. My grandpa retired from out here, so I grew up fishing these ponds with my dad. And now it's a great place for, you know, public, thousands of acres and hundreds of ponds. Many of them have probably never even had a bait casted into them, so there's tons to explore out here, tons of walking to do. A little bit about me and Saul. We met about 10 years ago. We both worked with troubled youth and met through that and shared a passion for fishing, so we became good friends and have been good friends ever since. And he's one of our field staffers. The biggest bass he's caught out here to date is what?
10-2.
10-2.
Yeah.
He's got a replica mount of it. We'll show you today, and he'll tell you a little bit about the story, and probably hundreds of 5+,
Yep.
6+ at this point.
Absolutely.
So Saul knows what's up, man. This is his passion. That's what's awesome about fishing. I'm more of a tournament rat. Saul chases giant bass out here in the rec lands. But the awesome thing about it is we both share an equal love and passion for fishing. So, you know, it's all good. We love it. So
Absolutely. There's a gem out here.
Hidden gem here in Southeast Ohio. So a little bit more about the history of this place and where it's come over the last few decades. Back in the day when Central Ohio coal was still running, I think it ended up shutting down in the late 90s, but there was some historical stuff out here, a thing called the Big Muskie that just raked tons and tons of dirt all at once. It's just a worldwide known machine, but that's how a lot of these little ponds got made, and they had a reclamation crew that came through after they were done and, you know, made this recreation ground to last for still what it is today. 6-8 months ago last year, the state of Ohio actually acquired about 26,000 acres of this ground, and it's now known as the Jesse Owens State Wildlife Area. Same ground that it always was. Now the state of Ohio just owns it, and there's still a lot of AEP rec lands that go in with it. And there was also even more land back in the day, but the Wilds, who are in consignance with the Columbus Zoo, acquired a bunch of that ground, and they actually do guided trips and have cabins and stuff out here now too. Another place that guides is Guru Outfitters, Cornelius Harris. Good friends with Saul and I, great dude. They have a little store in Chandlersville that's loaded with tackle, and it's awesome. So there's places out here. There's Maxwell's in McConnellsville. There's Hilltop Outdoors in Cumberland. There's places to get things you need when you're out here, but you're also, like, it's out here. When you're out here, if you want to get to some of these ponds, you gotta be willing to walk and go on journeys, but it's cool if you like to get out here and camp and do things like that. Now, fishing wise, this is probably your best option, the belly boat. A lot of these ponds have the sticky, shrubby, autumn olive, willow type stuff all over the banks. So it's a kayaker's dream, it's a belly boater's dream. A bank beater can get around and do what he needs to do, but to be efficient and probably get to the biggest fish in the lakes, you probably want to be in some type of boat. So that's kind of where the grounds have come to at this point. Like Saul said earlier, it's a hidden gem out here. There's giant bass in the mass majority of these ponds. So anywho, let's let Saul throw his boat in here and see if he can't crack one or two for us.
Just arrived to the pond. For the people watching out there, what I have on my back, this is magic right there. And I do want to give Cornelius Harris a shout out, because years ago he tried to get me in one of these, and my phobia is snakes. That's a true story. And I said, there's no way in heck I'm getting in the float tube. And he tried for 2 years, and finally he got me in one, and it was the best thing that I've ever done. So Cornelius Harris gets a credit for why I'm using these right here. But I'm just going to show you real quick. I'll always find a place, put my rods down first. It's key to have a great pair of waders for the summertime, which we're out here now. These are the breathable ones. Right there. This is what it's going to look like out there. Fishing from your living room, right there. These are the flippers. What we're going to do, they just strap right over your boot. They adjust to whatever wader or whatever size that you are. Snaps right in, just like that. One thing I forgot to mention is, if any kids are interested in float tubing or belly boating, safety is always first. I do have life jackets in the back of the Jeep, but I'm so used to being out here, I'm not going to wear it today. But I do recommend, for any kids just starting out, please make sure that safety is number one. That's it. Then we have our safety net right here. I use it as a tray. What's going on? That's right. Bass Curtis, Ohio's finest outdoors. We're back at it. This is titled The Quest for the State Record Bass here in Ohio. Every time I go out fishing, I have one goal. Actually, I have two goals. To have fun always, but my main goal is the state record largemouth bass. My biggest thus far is 10 pounds, 2 ounces. And every time I go fishing, I'm out to catch that state record. I got my man right here, 33 Oak Productions, Logan. Big shout out to Blue Rock Custom Tackle. Added me on as a field staff. Jesse French, we're going to get it done, brother. One of these days, we're going to get it done. How I started bass fishing, I got to give a shout out to my Uncle Greg. He was like my father figure growing up. He was into fishing. However, he was catfishing. He was a cat fisherman. So he would take me out to Dillon Spillway, and I loved it. And we would just catfish all night long. And it wasn't until I started, back then there was only 2 shows on TV. It was Hank Parker and Bill Dance. I fell in love with Bill Dance at an early age. And I told myself, man, this isn't the kind of fishing that me and my uncle are doing. However, I want to pursue this. I want to learn how to do this. I was poor. All my uncle had was catfish poles. So I would borrow my neighbor's lawnmower in the summer and cut grass and save my money. And I did the same thing in the winter. I would shovel snow whenever we didn't have school, and I would save money, and that's how I bought my first rod and my first packs of bait. And I remember we went to Dillon Lake, and he was catfishing in Dillon Lake, and I had an ugly stick at the time, nothing special. Ugly stick in the most basic Shimano, period. And he was like, what are you doing? And I said, don't worry about what I'm doing. And I bought me a pack of Berkeley worms, I never forget. And I was out Dillon just throwing a Texas Frig Berkeley worm, and I started catching bass as he was catfishing. And I swear that's how it started. And I never looked back. And from that point on, and I wasn't into giant bass early on. The older I got, I started reading more, subscribing to Bassmaster Magazine, sharpening my skills up, my knowledge, paying attention to the conditions, paying attention to the moon phases, the best times of the day to fish. So then in 99, I had gotten, my Uncle Greg was into bass fishing. He was fully into bass fishing. He catches a 7-pound bass in the ponds we call Mounter 1 and 2. I was telling you about earlier. I started bass fishing before him, but he caught a bigger one than me, and for 2 years, I was trying after a 5-pound bass after he caught that 7-pounder, and it didn't happen. 2001 was my breakout year. I caught a 6'10". No, I caught a 5'12", and I was so geeked up, I was so happy, and my Uncle Greg was with me. Not even a week later, I catch a 6'10". Not even a week later, I catch a 6'6". All these years, I was chasing giant bass, and it wasn't happening, and then after that, the light switch went on. I started documenting my catches, the time of the day, the conditions, the water temperature, the wind, all of those things. And my giant bass started growing. And I started exploring more and more ponds down at back then it was the AEP rec lands. Now it's Jesse Owens State Park. I just started experimenting. And like I said, those 5 steps. I had the right equipment, fishing the right lakes, big baits, confidence, and I was going fishing 4 days out of the week. And I was crazy back then. I would fish from 6 in the morning to 8 at night. And my love and passion continued to grow and continue to grow. And then I got a 7-pounder, 8-pounder, 9-pounder. And April the 11th. No. April 17th, 2011 was the magical day. And you guys will see that later on in this film. That was a magical day, my 10-pound, 2-ounce bass. And I'm still chasing that state record bass. So big shout out, man, big shout out, and I love him to death, man, my Uncle Greg. Because if it wasn't for him, I don't know if I'd be doing this right now. Nothing better in the summertime when it's above 85 degrees, in my opinion, than a fluke. Why I'm throwing it? Think about it. Those fish are feeding on smaller bass and bluegill. What's the fluke? What's the fluke look like? Oh yeah. They're coming up there thinking it's that bluegill, and guess what? Oh yeah. It's not that bluegill, it's my fluke. Chunker right there. Great conditions. How to set the hook backwards, man. Yeah, y'all go ahead and take a look at that. We're getting ready to enter my bass cave. Most men want a man cave. I have a bass cave, and it starts right there. If I'm missing, I'm probably fishing. Let's go ahead and enter. Yeah. This is my spot right here. Starting back 2001. That's where it started. The giant bass fever started. Take a look around. That fish right there caught April 7th, 2001. That's my very first mount, a 7-pound bass. After that fish right there, I was hooked. It was in my blood. All I wanted to do was catch giant bass. We're going to take a look at this artwork. My son, my daughter, they're the future. One day, I hope that I could pass the torch to them. 2016, graphic work and poster, a year to remember. Mr. Guru was with me when I caught that triple right there. I'll never forget that day because later that evening, I killed one of my bucks that was on trail camera, and I told him that day, man, later tonight I'm gonna kill my buck, and it was after those 3 5-pound bass right there. Just some more mounts right there. Go down here right there, that's right, bass lamp. Here's another section of the bass cave. I got a couple table mounts is what they call. Then we come up here, some graphic work of some hogs. Then I'm gonna come over here. It's a grind, but we finished strong. And I wanted it done in black and white. That's my man, Big Country, right there. I took him out and got him his PB, 6.5 pounds. Caught on the Blue Rock jig. Again, my little cuz, Greg Norris, chasing Ohio's Giants. We try to get it done, man. We do, all of us, from Mr. Guru, to Jesse, to Logan, to Reed. Special thanks to Blue Rock Custom Tackle for putting this video together, 33 Oak Production. Get over to this right here. This is very special to me. Local artist, Raymond Ramos. This fish right here was 8 pounds, 7 ounces. I gave him the picture of this fish, and wow, look at that. That's one of my, that probably is my favorite piece out of all my pieces. He did an amazing job on that. Then we're going to take a look at just some giants. My 10-2, 9-pounder, 9-pounder. Man, I love it. Got right here is a bass library, from Hooked on Bass Fishing, Guide to Topwater Fishing, Advanced Bass Fishing Skills, Proven Strategies for Catching Bass, Hunting for Trophy Bass, which is my favorite. Then we're going to go over here, and we have a Bass Daily Planner and Fishing Guide. Starting in 2004, and still to this day, I document all of my catches, the time of the day, the water temperature, the temperature outside, what bait I caught it on, the conditions, things like that. Is from Bassmaster Magazine. Congratulate Solomon Curtis for outstanding success in hooking and landing a trophy largemouth bass. My 10-pound, 2-ounce bass, that's the fish that got me in Bassmaster Magazine, and that's something I've always wanted to do, was get into Lunker Club and Bassmaster Magazine. Well, guess what? I did it. April 17th, 2011, Public Recreation Grounds, Bassmaster Magazine. 25 pictures of me holding giant bass. I love that piece right there. Then we're going to drop down right here. That's my Uncle Greg. Big shout out and thanks to him. You see that giant bass he got. He's the one that would take me fishing every Saturday and Sunday when I was a kid. And I'm so thankful and grateful for that. Man, I can't thank him enough. I owe him the world. He's the one that got me into this hardcore. Thanks, Unc. Gone.
Let's see. This is a replica mount of Saul's 10-pounder he caught out there. Just gonna let him tell his story real quick. The day, the weather, and how he caught it, or all that good stuff. So take it from here, Saul, and tell us about how it all went down, man.
Man, it seems like yesterday, but honestly it was April 17th, 2011, a day I never forget. I was out with Adrian, and some of you may know Greg Norris, chasing Ohio's Giants. We were out. I wanted to go to, back then, they were my favorite ponds. I called them Mounter Pond 1 and Mounter Pond 2. We've caught numerous fish in those ponds, 7-8 pound range, and at the time 8 pounds was my biggest. And they was like, no, we're going to a different pond. And I said, man, there's no, I'm not. We got in an argument in the vehicle, and I said, no. So it was 2-1, so I said, fine, we'll go there. Now, I've never caught a bass over 3 pounds there, so we get to this pond, and it was the wind. I never forget. When fishing AEP, the wind is your friend. So I prefer 15 to about 25 miles an hour wind, and it just turns big bass on. That day, I never forget, the wind was 35 to 45 miles per hour. And once we got up to the pond, Adrian said, man, let's go, man. I'm not fishing in this. And I said, man, are you crazy? It was cloudy out, it was windy, and it was for April, it was like 42 degrees. I never forget it because I was bundled up. I fish a jig all the way around the pond, and I catch 4 bass, and it's a giant pond. And I catch 4 bass, and jig's my favorite. Most of my big bass come on jig, and I told Greggy, I said, man, I gotta make a change. He was like, you're going away from the jig? I said, yes. I switched to a Magnum Lizard, a June bug Magnum Lizard. I switched to that. In the first cast, I caught a bass. Second cast, I caught a bass, and I said, Greggy, switch, I'm on to something. Because the fish were in the transition stages. They weren't up yet, but they were moving up, coming from the deep water to shallow water. I never even set the hook. I always let my bait fall to the bottom. Once it got to the floor, I left it sit there for a little bit. I'm looking over at Greggy, seeing what he's doing, and all of a sudden it just zzz, and I immediately said, this is a channel cat, because I've caught channel catfish down there before, so I said, this is a channel cat, and it's just running, my drag. Zzz. So Greggy said, oh, you don't got a big fish, because every once in a while, we will loosen our drag up right when we're getting ready to leave to play around, so if we get a fish, it looks like a big fish, because our drag is just super loose, and a little bass is running it out. That's how fast this fish was running. And he said, oh, you loosened your drag up. And I said, Greggy, no, I did not loosen my drag. And all I could do, I'm serious, was hold on because it just kept running. And I said, man, this is a channel cat. And I told him, I said, man, there's no way in heck this is a bass. And he said, if it is, we'll be going to Mr. Klossman's. He said, if this is a bass, we're going to Mr. Klossman's tonight. I said, man, it's not a bass. So I gained some ground on it, get it in about 10 yards, and then zoom. And I said, Greg, it's not a bass, man. This is not a bass. And I never forget, I get it to the surface and it makes a boil. And he said some things I'm not going to say. And he was like, it's a bass. It's a bass. And he said, don't look at it. Don't look at it. And I said, what you mean don't look at it? He said, it's a bass, Saul. Don't look at it. So it dives again, but not that much. And I get it back to the surface. And I tell Greggy, I said, Greggy, grab my fish, get it. And we usually get in the water, big fish, we jump in the water, grab it. And he looked at me and he was like, I'm not messing with that fish because I don't want to fight you. If something happens, I don't want you fighting me. So I got down, it was a small embankment, I got down, I lifted it, and I just raised both of my arms. I had to pull in one in the fish, and I just raised my arms, went up on the hill, and I just screamed. And I set it down, and I just start punching Grady. Like, I was so excited. Like, I just keep hitting him in his arm. And he was like, what are you doing? And it was just, it was, man, I was ecstatic. It was so exciting. And I honestly, when I first saw it, I was like, man, that's an 11-pound bass. Well, then we put it on the scales, and 10.2. And it's crazy because I went all the way around the pond with a jig. They were ready to go. We were getting ready to leave because of the wind, and I was casting into the wind and tied that lizard. I made one change, and boom, caught those 4 quick fish, then caught this. And it's funny because after I caught this fish, I didn't fish the rest. I didn't even fish anymore. I just watched them. Like, I was just like, man, I'm good. I knew that was my biggest bass, and it's almost like it's a day you never forget. Still to this day, it gives me chills thinking about it. And I told Jesse earlier, I may never ever break 10.2, but I'm going to try as hard as I can for the rest of my life. My goal was a state record. And I'm telling you right now, you see this? See all this? You guys need to hit my man Frenchie up, because if I catch it, it's going to be on one of these baits. Probably going to be that black and blue jig over there. Blue Rock Custom Tackle.
It's a giant, buddy. The biggest thing I got to say about it, I mean, lake, pond, any state, coast to coast, a 10-pounder is a true giant. And to catch it on public Ohio waters, that's something to be proud of. Saul puts in a ton of time out there, so I just wanted to showcase a little bit about what he does today. And you know, check out his page, Ohio's Finest Outdoors. Check out Cornelius at Guru Outfitters. And you know, we're all in this together. We're all fishermen, and we all share the same passion. So
That's right.
hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll keep stuff like this coming at you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
This right here is my 10-pound, 2-ounce bass, but I'm here to tell you that I've seen them down Jesse Owens State Park bigger than this. In 2014, I had one, I'm promised, bigger than this, and it got off right at the bank. So I'm telling you right now, I believe the state record is down Jesse Owens State Park because I've seen them down there bigger than that.
Guaranteed.